Phrolova will tear the enemy apart. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how to build and play Phrolova the best, starting with how her kit works. This time, I'm going to only be talking about the things relevant to her gameplay loop, because if I manage to get 7 minutes out of Lupa's entire kit, Frolova's will take me like 15. So I'm only going to be talking about the things that are relevant towards Frolova's actual gameplay loop, starting with her Forte bars, because that is the thing you're primarily going to be managing. Phrolova has 2 Forte bars, one of which is her volatile notes, and the other one is called Aftershock. Phrolova will gain volatile notes whenever she uses either her Forte skill or her Forte basic, which are unlocked after her regular skill or her third basic attack. The color of the note will change depending on whether you use a basic attack or a skill. This will be relevant for Frolova's Liberation. When you have 6 of the volatile notes, Phrolova can use an enhanced heavy attack called Scarlet Coda, which counts as casting an echo skill as well as dealing resonant skill damage. Its damage will increase based on the amount of Aftershock you have. After using Scarlet Coda, Frolova's Liberation becomes available. Explaining every single mechanic behind Frolova's Liberation is going to take way too long, so I'm basically going to be giving you a Cliff Notes version. Her Liberation will summon Hecate, which will automatically attack targets whenever you swap off of Phrolova. If you do not swap off, you are able to manually cast Hecate's attacks. Hecate either has a basic attack or an enhanced attack. Hecate's enhanced attack is going to have a separate secondary effect depending on the color of the volatile note that is currently playing. Phrolova will cycle through her notes every 4 seconds. If the current note was obtained from a Forte basic attack, Hecate will slow down enemies, and if it was obtained from a Forte skill, it will group enemies. There is also a third note, which you can only use if you have Frolova's first inherent skill. This makes it so after an echo skill or an intro skill, the next note you will obtain is this third kind of note, which will be capable of doing both the slowdown as well as the grouping. This will however not be relevant towards your gameplay whenever Hecate is on the field. This will simply all automatically play itself. What does matter though is which notes you get during her field time. So keep in mind, Forte basic attack will give you a slowdown, and the Forte skill will give you grouping. So to summarize, while Phrolova is on field, she wants to obtain 6 notes as fast as possible in order to cast Scarlet Coda and afterwards her Liberation. Then she will swap off. Now that we have discussed that, it's time to talk about her intro and outro skill as well as her inherent skills. Her intro skill has 2 different versions, one of which is simply the basic intro skill, and then there is a second intro skill if Hecate is on the field. The one with Hecate on the field simply does more damage. After both intro skills, Phrolova will be capable of using her third basic attack instantly, meaning you can immediately get 1 volatile note. Her outro skill will amplify the next Resonator's Havoc and heavy attack damage, making this an incredibly good outro skill for characters like Donjin as well as Rochia, as well as being a pretty good outro skill for characters like Phoebe and GN. Additionally, Hecate will automatically cast 2 enhanced attacks if it is on the field. Now it is time to talk about Frolova's inherent skills. The first one I've already kind of discussed. After using an echo skill, Phrolova will gain 30% damage reduction. But additionally, after casting either her intro skill or an echo skill, the next note that Phrolova obtains will be a cadenza note, which as I said earlier, has both the slowdown effect as well as the grouping effect whenever Hecate does an enhanced attack. And her second inherent skill will automatically give Phrolova 10 stacks of Aftersound whenever she gets into battle, as well as giving Phrolova a crit damage buff based on her current amount of Aftersound. You're basically never going to max this crit damage buff, but just know it's there. The longer the fight goes on, the more crit damage Phrolova is going to be getting. Considering the fact that Aftersound can only be obtained whenever Hecate attacks, and Hecate is only summoned at the ending of the first rotation, this inherent 10 Aftersound is primarily here to compensate for the fact that Hecate is not going to be there for your first rotation. Now with that out of the way, it's time to talk about Frolova's rotation. Phrolova starts off with her intro skill and then an immediate third basic attack. After that, you want to either use a Forte basic when in single targets, or a Forte skill whenever you're in AoE. The Forte basic has a higher multiplier as well as being a shorter animation, however I think that the Forte skill having a grouping effect is just more useful in AoE. After that, you're going to use her Resonance skill, followed by another Forte basic or skill. After that, you're going to want to use an Echo skill, followed by 3 basics, and then another Forte attack. Now you should be able to cast Scarlet Coda and use her Liberation, and then you can swap off of Phrolova. Pretty simple rotation. As for which Forte to level up first, go for the Liberation. It's approximately half of Phrolova's damage, as all of Hecate's attacks are within the Liberation's level up. After that, your basic attacks are going to be your best bet, followed by the Forte. After that, you have the Intro skill, followed by the Resonance skill, but either of these two are not a large enough portion of your damage profile to be worth leveling in my opinion. Now it is time to talk about Phrolova's weapon situation. Starting off with the Lethean Elegy. Being Phrolova's signature weapon, obviously it's going to be her best in slot. But I think you're going to be surprised by just how much of a best in slot it is. It has a high base attack as well as a crit rate substat. The passive has 12% attack, as well as giving you 32% resonance skill damage and 32% echo skill damage amplification after simply dealing echo damage. It will also allow her to ignore 8% of the enemy defense. This is going to be Phrolova's best weapon by a long shot. Not only does she have a very easy 100% uptime on the weapon's passive, considering it was literally made for her, it also gives her an incredibly valuable stat. Damage amplification is one of the best stats in the entire game, and considering that Hecate's attacks will be from entirely off-field, it usually won't have any access to damage amplification. So it being on this weapon for Hecate to benefit from is incredibly powerful. The next option is going to be the R1 Stringmaster. While you are going to be overcapping on crit rate by a lot, Stringmaster is still going to be the second best option. Phrolova is going to have near perfect uptime on the Stringmaster's passive, considering the fact that almost all of her damage while on field counts as skill damage. Sure, Hecate isn't going to be benefiting much from the 24% attack, but it's still going to be getting the free 12% from it just being an off-field summon. But it is going to be a lot worse than the signature. Next up is going to be Whispers of Sirens, which is Cantarella's signature weapon. Sure, it gives some basic attack damage bonus, which isn't that relevant to Phrolova, but the real kicker here is giving 12% Havoc damage ignore after casting 2 Echo skills. One Echo skill is going to be covered by, well, Phrolova's Echo skill, and the other one will be covered by Scarlet Coda, which counts as an Echo skill. Which means that Hecate is capable of benefiting from the 12% Havoc resistance ignore, which is a very powerful effect. So Whispers of Sirens is definitely a very good weapon for Phrolova. Next up is the Rime Draped Sprouts. It's pretty similar to Whispers of Sirens, it just has slightly less basic attack damage bonus and no Havoc res ignore. So it's pretty simple. Luminous Hymn is basically just a crit stick, so yeah, that's kinda it, it's just a crit stick, I can't really say much. Then there's Cosmic Ripples. It gives a lot of attack on the passive, as well as giving some basic attack damage bonus. The attack percent is very nice, and the basic attack damage bonus is pretty okay. This is going to be your best bet, assuming that you don't have any signature 5-star weapons. Then, if you really want to get into the trenches, there is R5 Augment, R5 Fusion Accretion, and R5 Jinjo Keeper. All of these weapons are way worse than the signature weapon, and if you do not have Cosmic Ripples, you are going to feel it. They're all just kind of generic attack sticks, with nothing interesting going on with them. Waltz Masquerade is going to be your best option if you are a complete free-to-play who doesn't have a single gotcha rectifier. But honestly, if you don't have a single gotcha rectifier, oh boy. I am telling you, please just roll for Phrolova's signature weapon. I don't like being someone who encourages gambling, but this is just downright ridiculous. If you like Phrolova, get the signature, please. Now it's time to talk about Phrolova's best Echo set combinations. And Phrolova's pretty unique, because with her release comes the first 3-piece Echo set, being Dream of the Lost. Dream of the Lost is going to give you 20% crit rate and 35% Echo skill damage when you have 0 resonance energy. This is perfect for Phrolova because she doesn't even use any resonance energy, because her ultimate does not cost energy. It simply needs to be unlocked by casting Scarlet Coda, so this is obviously tailor-made for Phrolova. If you're looking for a 2-piece to combine it with, your best bet is going to be Havoc Eclipse or Midnight Veil. These two sets have the exact same 2-piece effect, so just pick the one that you have better echoes of. If you do not want to use either of these, 2-piece Lingering Tunes followed by 2-piece Frosty Resolve is going to be your best bet. Obviously, your best in slot primary echo is going to be the Nightmare Hecate. If you do not have a Dream of the Lost set yet, your best bet is going to be running 5-piece Havoc Eclipse, although it does have quite some downtime issues due to it requiring basic attacks in order to be activated. The damage drop will be quite significant, so honestly I would just suggest farming a Dream of the Lost set, considering the fact that farming it doesn't even cost any wave plates. The primary echo for this set would be the Crownless. And that brings us to Phrolova's teams. Phrolova has some of the most flexible team building in the game for a main DPS, so I hope you're buckled in for this one. Obviously, Phrolova's best in slot team is going to be to run her with Cantarella and Rochia, essentially going with a similar fashion to the Mono Fusion team, except with Havoc characters, where you're constantly cycling between characters who are buffing each other. Phrolova's Ultra skill will buff Rochia, Rochia's Ultra skill will buff Cantarella, and Cantarella's Ultra skill will be buffing Phrolova. Cantarella and Rochia both have access to Echo skill casts within their own kit, so aside from just the Echo that you're equipping on them, you are getting more total Echo skill casts than with other characters. The reason this is relevant is because Hecate will automatically cast an enhanced attack after an Echo skill is triggered, so the fact that these two supports have Echo skill casts within their own kit is very powerful for a Phrolova team. If you do not have them, however, you are capable of replacing Rochia with Shorekeeper or Verena. Obviously, these two are just generic buffers, so I really don't need to say much about them. If you have neither Cantarella nor Rochia, and you want to play a main DPS Phrolova, your best bet will be running Donjin with Shorekeeper or Verena. While Donjin may not have as powerful of an Ultra skill as Cantarella does, as well as not having any Echo skills within her rotation, she does have other things to her disposal. Primarily a faster field time than Cantarella, as well as the ability to buff attack with her S6. Obviously, it's not going to be as strong as Cantarella, but it's going to be strong enough for your Phrolova's needs. Phrolova, Donjin, and Shorekeeper is a pretty good team, and a lot better than free-to-play teams for other recent DPSs. I'm looking primarily at you here, Zani. Now that we've discussed Phrolova's potential as a main DPS, would you like me to talk about some alternative use cases? Because yes, we are running Phrolova as a dual carry, and no, we are not quick-swapping this time. A very large part of Phrolova's damage output is simply never going to see the benefit of Ultra skills, thus meaning that Phrolova's damage output, when you don't have an Ultra skill, was simply raised to compensate for this, meaning that using Phrolova in a more supportive role, for example to buff a GN or a Phoebe, is actually relatively solid. Phrolova will be doing a lot more damage than a Mortefi or a Shakona would for these two characters, and while she does have a longer field time, it honestly gets pretty close to their main DPS teams, I can't lie. So if you're feeling a bit unorthodox, maybe even a little bit wacky, using Phrolova as a buffer for your GN or your Phoebe honestly is not a horrible idea. And now it's finally time to talk about Phrolova's sequences. The first sequence will increase the damage multiplier of both of Phrolova's Forte abilities by 80%, which is a relatively okay damage buff. Additionally, it's going to give Phrolova extra cadenza notes whenever she is not in combat, but this will have zero effect on either of the endgame modes, so honestly I see it as kind of worthless. The second sequence will be increasing the damage multiplier of Scarlet Coda by 75%. Additionally, using Scarlet Coda will give Phrolova an extra 14 aftersound, meaning her damage is going to ramp up more and more as rotations go on. I think this is an incredibly good sequence, and it honestly makes Phrolova's early rotations a lot more bearable, as well as simply giving Phrolova an extra nuke. The third sequence will give Phrolova 80% damage amplification for Echo skills, as well as decreasing the attack that enemies have whenever they're hit by Scarlet Coda. Additionally, whenever you use Scarlet Coda, all of your notes will become cadenza notes. This means that the Forte skill no longer has a use, because the Forte basic is simply faster and does more damage. The Echo skill damage amplification effect is also incredibly powerful. I've already talked about it during the weapons section, but damage amplification for Phrolova's Echo skills is one of the strongest effects that you can give her. For the fourth sequence, Phrolova will be increasing the damage bonus of all nearby team members after an Echo skill is cast by 20%. This is an okay damage buff, really not much to write home about to be honest. It's just okay. Phrolova's S5 is going to be purely defensive, simply stagnating enemies as well as giving Phrolova damage reduction. So honestly, as I usually say, I think this is a worthless sequence. And then finally to the 6th sequence. This one has 3 separate effects. It's going to give Phrolova 60% damage bonus whenever she is on field, and whenever Hecate is summoned, enemies will take 40% more damage from Hecate. That is just one of the effects, however. The second effect will increase the damage multiplier of Hecate's attacks by 24%. And then finally, whenever Phrolova uses her Forte skill or her Forte basic, she'll get an additional hit of damage, which counts as echo skill damage. This will also give Phrolova 8 extra after sound stacks, so not only are you going to be getting even more damage ramping up over time, just like with the S2, you're also getting extra ticks of damage, which will be benefiting from all of the echo-related buffs that Phrolova is getting from her S3 as well as her weapon. And not just that, obviously there's the straight up damage multiplier increase to Hecate and the damage bonus effect that I discussed earlier. This is a downright disgusting sequence. It's the strongest one that Phrolova has, and I can say with full confidence that S6 Phrolova is going to be one of the new best S6 characters in the game. That is going to be the end of my Phrolova guide. If you learned something new, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Additionally, comment down below if this video helped you in any way. If you have any questions, you can also comment those down below, but a better way to reach me would be through my Discord server, which is linked in the description below. I'm pretty active in there, so there's a pretty good chance I'll respond. Additionally, if you just want to see more of me, be sure to check out my second channel, which is also linked in the description. I primarily talk about PGR, but I just kinda make videos on anything. But that'll be all from me. Peace.